Coming up on Mountain News this morning, the president is expected to meet with El Salvador officials today as more alleged gang members are sent to prison in another country. And DNA helped investigators close a hit-and-run case that was open for months.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning and a happy Monday to you, Mountain family. My name's Amelia Lee here with you on this April 14th. The time now 5 o'clock this morning. And that means it's time to check on in with meteorologist Eric Dean for a look at that forecast this morning. Eric, a reminder for you, tomorrow is tax day.
It is. Now the question is, do you have your taxes done?
You know what? They keep rejecting my state ones, but I'm working on it. We are getting it done today.
There you go. I got mine done about 2 weeks ago, so I procrastinated a little bit. Hey, today though, we'll see temperatures in the upper 70s and low 80s. There's a caveat to that forecast. This weekend was not bad. We made it to 65 yesterday, had a low of 37, 69 and 47 is where you should be for this time of year. 85 was yesterday's record high, set back in 2014. Right now, all is quiet on live pinpoint Doppler radar, and this is going to start getting a workout as we go throughout the afternoon and evening hours as thunderstorm chances will start to pick up. Temperatures right now 40s, 50s, even 60s. 60s from Irvine down to Hazard, 45 Manchester, 54 in Whitesburg, 60 in London, 60 in Middlesboro, 41 is the current temperature in Jonesville. We'll make it to 78 for today, and you can see the clouds thicken as we go throughout the afternoon and evening hours. Storm chances will pick up throughout the evening. Going into the overnight hours, some could be strong to severe, and we'll talk about that coming up in the first alert forecast in a few minutes. But right now, the current time is 5 o'clock. We'll send it over to Amelia.
Thanks, Eric. Today, President Donald Trump is planning to meet with El Salvador's president at the White House. This weekend, officials released video showing 10 alleged gang members being handed over by the U.S. military to police in El Salvador. The meeting comes amid an ongoing court battle over a Maryland father the administration admitted was sent to a foreign prison by mistake. Last week, the Supreme Court ordered the administration to facilitate his return. Over the weekend, the U.S. and Iran held their first talks on Tehran's nuclear threat since President Trump returned to office. A White House statement described the meeting between envoy Stephen Witkoff and Iran's foreign minister as very positive and constructive. It's the aftermath of a 2015 deal that President Trump pulled out of his first term. Now, analysts believe Iran may soon have enough weapons-grade uranium to make a nuclear warhead.
I want Iran to be a wonderful, great, happy country, but they can't have a nuclear weapon.
Iran's foreign minister said the ball is in America's court as the two countries agreed to meet again in a week's time. The United States' hurry to deal with that threat comes as Iran is weakened by regional turmoil. In less than 1 month, a Floyd County native and UK healthcare nurse will set off to Ukraine on a medical mission trip. Jimmy Williams spent nearly 20 years in the medical field and now wants to take his talents to a war-torn country. So he joined Global Care Force. The nonprofit organization connects medical and non-medical volunteers with organizations that serve communities in need.
So far, Global Care Force has served about 10,000 Ukrainians, and they've given away almost $230,000 in medication because we don't expect any Ukrainian to pay for this service. We're doing it for free. We're doing it for them.
He leaves on May 15th with other Americans and plans to spend 15 days there. He says he wants to show Ukrainians that the world has not forgotten them. DNA evidence led to an arrest nearly 1 year after a hit-and-run crash in Bell County. In this WYMT Investigates, Caroline Mueller explains how law enforcement were able to track down a suspect and why it took so long.
Middlesboro police filed charges for a June 2024 hit-and-run more than 9 months after the incident.
We originally got a call. It was a wreck on 19th and Ashbury. It actually involved the former county attorney, Neil Ward. He was hit, and then the vehicle that struck him fled the scene.
Officer Morgan Justice says they found the abandoned vehicle nearby, totaled with blood inside, but no sign of the driver.
We canvassed the area for hours. We weren't able to locate anybody. Talked to several people on the street. Nobody had seen anybody.
Officer Justice got a warrant, collected the blood, and sent it to the Kentucky State Police Forensic Lab. That is when the long wait began.
They have a lot of backlog in the labs, but luckily they were able to cross-reference it with one of the DNA samples that they already had on file, and that came back to Charles Parton.
That match was enough to file charges. Police say Parton was already in custody on unrelated charges.
That was the only factor in this arrest. We had no leads. It was mainly the DNA evidence that pointed us to Charles Parton.
DNA evidence is often used in sexual assault cases, but experts say it is just as valuable when there's no other lead.
Traditionally, the blood sample is collected from the crime scene and processed, and the idea is that you basically generate a unique code of the individual from that blood stain.
Dr. Jamie Fredericks with EKU says that code is nearly 1 in a billion, strong enough to stand up in court. He says while it can take months to process,
DNA is actually pretty stable in a lot of different environments, so you could easily generate a DNA profile from blood collected after a year.
Justice says this case shows just how important that science can be.
When we have an opportunity to use it, we do use it.
Officer Justice says while the DNA gave them a break in this case, it is often a waiting game. But in the end, it brought answers nearly a year later. In Middlesboro, Caroline Mueller, WYMT Mountain News.
Parton is now facing multiple charges, including receiving stolen property, leaving the scene, and failure to render aid. The victim could also pursue civil action if they choose. A longtime business in Laurel County is closed, leaving many in the community shocked and wondering what will take its place. Laurel Grocery Company in London is shutting its doors after more than 100 years of service. The company delivered supplies and groceries to small mom and pop stores for decades, with more than 100 employees now out of work.
We're asking local companies to really consider those that's been impacted there at Laurel Grocery, to hire them, bring them in their companies.
Officials say the owners are now looking for someone to buy their facility. You can see a statement from the company CEO on WYMT.com and our news app. And here's part of a statement issued from Laurel Grocery Company to WYMT about their decision to close. It says, quote, Laurel Grocery Company has been a proud provider of wholesale groceries to independent grocers in Kentucky and surrounding states for 103 years. We are working with advisors to consider next steps for our company and will provide more information soon. You can find that entire statement again. It's on our website, WYMT.com. Kentucky removed more than 7,000 names from the state's voter rolls last month. Secretary of State Michael Adams announced those numbers on Friday. Adams says more than 4,600 of those voters were dead. Just under 1,700 names were already on the list, and more than 400 were convicted felons who were taken off those voter rolls. The remaining 5% were removed for different reasons. On Friday, Primary Care Centers of Eastern Kentucky hosted its East Kentucky Diabetes Symposium. Opening remarks were made by the CEO and founder of Primary Care, Barry Martin. It was a time for folks to discuss health practices like practical approaches to diabetes-friendly diets.
Our goal here today is to educate, it's to talk about some of the issues, it's to talk about some of the advances, and in hopes that some of that knowledge can continue to get down to individual people so that they can live better lives.
There were also discussion panels and a time to ask questions. Thank you for getting your day started with us here on Mountain News this morning. When we return this morning on the good side, we'll meet a man whose abilities shine through his disabilities and are now taking center stage.
Right now we're seeing a temperature of 61 degrees, but rain and thunderstorm chances are in the forecast. Details coming up.